This episode of Please See Below is presented to you by Amazon. Amazon has everything for every party. Let's say your daughter wants a birthday party, but she doesn't just want any party. She wants a tea party. Nah, scratch that. A princess tea party. Wait, a princess T-Rex party? Honestly, I have a few questions. But you have Amazon. From tea sets to tiaras to apparently toddler-sized T-Rex costumes, shop everything for every party on Amazon.
What's up, everyone? It's Rachel Lindsay, and if you love all things Bravo, then you need to be listening to Morally Corrupt. Every Tuesday and Friday, your favorite Ringer podcasters and I dive into Bravo's biggest moments and dish out hot and always unfiltered takes. And guess what? Now you can watch us too. That's right, Morally Corrupt is now available in video on Spotify. So whether you're listening in your family van or watching next to your white refrigerator, don't be all uncool and miss out. Catch new episodes every Tuesday and Friday only on the Ringer Reality TV feed.
Why didn't we start with a shot? I guess it's 11:30.
We didn't start with a shot because I could. It is 4:30 here. It's 11 a.m. So we both could.
Yeah. Well, okay. I got to look at my London clock. I've been saying, if you want to know how big of a hoe a girl is, look at her like time slots on the what's it, like the clock app.
Yes.
Like, where are you trying to make sure you know what time it is at any given time? I need to text a man. I need to know what time it is where he is.
Because it can't be weird. You know a girl's a hoe when you look at when she has multiple cities in her world clock. You also know
if you have Dubai,
we can't hang.
You should not need to know what time it is in Dubai at any given moment.
Hello. Welcome to Please See Below, my brand new podcast, all about perfecting the art of oversharing. Here, we mention the unmentionables and talk about topics and things that no one wants to say out loud, but everyone is desperate to know. Welcome back, pleasers. Greetings from London town. I might be in London doing some things. But my best friend is in Brooklyn holding it down. We have Richie Jolivette Brown. She's my best friend, the most open and honest chick I know. You know her because she has filmed on not one, but twice, 2 seasons of Roni with me. And basically, the pardon?
They cut out all my good bits, me like talking shit. I just was like looking cute.
Yeah. Well, give it time. Don't worry. They'll come and get you.
Yeah.
That's spoken like someone who's experienced it.
Yeah.
No, but basically Richie is like my little sister, and in more ways than one. Not only am I so close to her family, but I literally look upon Richie like this because if you want to see me 7 years ago, 8 years ago, here she is. There's little Brynn. That's it. But I'm super, super, super excited to have you. Thank you so much for coming on, honey. How are you doing?
So exciting.
Yay.
I'm a little bit nervous because we have no filter together and I'm going to forget that we're being filmed. I'm saying something I'm not supposed
That's good. To say. You should take your shot. You should totally take your shot.
Bleep out the names. That's all.
We will bleep out all the names.
Or we only use nicknames.
Every athlete we name is got to get bleeped out, or we use all the nicknames, which we usually do for guys. We have a lot of fun and dating stories, but the first thing that I want to get into is the first funny story, what's bound to be many in this episode, which is how we met.
On a hoe trip.
Hoe trip.
I've met a lot of great girlfriends on hoe trips.
I mean, okay, we also call them hoe trips. They're not totally hoe trips.
No.
Like,
I married the guy, so I wasn't that big.
You married, so you kind of won the whole trip. I was just the third wheel. I got invited on. So, okay, wait, you tell the story. You tell the story. I'll pipe it.
It's just funny because I'm divorced from this man now. But at the time, I was very excited. And I was dating, maybe like 6 months into dating my ex-husband. And we had this thing where I would plan a trip. And last minute, his best friend would crash with a new girl every time. And I just could not understand why we couldn't have a trip alone. And I planned this trip to the Bahamas. The hotel had just opened. I had worked in real estate development, so I knew the owners of the hotel. So I had gotten a big suite and they had like cleaned up an extra room. So, so this guy, we won't say his name, could come, and he brings not one, but 2 hoes. And at first I was so upset because he called ahead of time and was like, so I'm bringing two girls, so I think I should get the bigger room in the suite. And I'm like, how are you crashing my trip and taking my romantic, getaway suite? And I was like, oh, these girls are going to be so obnoxious. And by the end of the first night, I wasn't even talking. We weren't talking to the guys. The
We
three of
weren't
us
talking
were
to the
rolling on
guys.
the floor, laughing, like drunk, having the best time. And I always say with my ex-husband, the best thing I got out of him was my friends. Like I met some of my best
Yes,
friends through him. So yeah,
100%.
that's what
Okay,
I
yeah.
got out of the
So
divorce.
you scheduled a romantic trip with your boyfriend at the time, you actually ended up getting married
Married
to,
too.
but you schedule this romantic trip. Your boyfriend at the time is like, oh, by the way, my best friend is crashing with this girl, and this girl that the best friend is bringing another girl.
Yes.
I was the other girl
Yes.
because I have
You
third
were the
wheel
other
because I'm the
girl.
best.
And this was
Because
like the fourth or fifth trip that this guy had crashed and brought girls on.
and brought girls with. But the reason why I was asked by
Yes.
our mutual girlfriend is because she's like, I don't want to hook up with this guy.
You were
So
the
she's like, if
cop walk
Brynn's there,
girlfriend.
yeah, then you can't hook up. So So I showed up, got a free flight,
Mhm.
had a free stay, and then met Richie. And then yeah, it was funny because the first hour, I feel like why do we do this a lot? Like we're kind of like not standoffish, but like sizing each other up,
Yeah.
looking for that
You're
like,
trying to see if
oh, I have
you were girls, girls. I'm a girls, girl.
yeah,
You're a girls, girl. But we had to like suss it out at first because I will say the other girls that had been brought on trips previously were not girls, girls. But I
they were
remember the
hosts.
moment when I realized you guys were, and it was because I had planned couples massages. And again, this guy was like, well, rather than you guys doing a couples massage, why don't we take one of the masseuses and we'll just, so what's going on? And you and our friend, can we say who it is? Alyssa? Yeah.
Yeah.
We could say who she is.
Yeah.
She comes out and she's like, girl, like we're not gonna let this happen. And like you guys went and made sure I got my couples massage. You guys realized he was crossing a line. I was like, oh, girls, girls. And then we
Yeah.
clubbed that night and had a ball.
Yeah. I remember we fell over on a red carpet at some
Yes.
party.
We crashed some sort of red carpet event.
I remember singing DMX to who was that one Lakers player with the curly hair? He was married to Vanessa. Remember
Oh,
him, Rick? He's very
yeah,
handsome.
it was a
We were
very
like standing
interesting
on a thing,
night.
and I was like, and he was like clapping because I knew all the lyrics to X Gonna Give It to You or something, or
Why
I don't
don't
know.
they play music like that in nightclubs
I have
anymore?
no
Now it's
idea.
all
They
like
need to.
techno. I want the
Yeah.
club to be just about to be shut up. You know what I mean?
The club music shut down. We tried to. We went to a casino because the casino was just opening
Yes.
and we were hitting buttons and being obnoxious. We were like
Yes.
Sharon Stone in Casino. We were just throwing chips and thinking we were so cute, and everyone's like, "Please leave and get out of here." But that's how friends bond. So that was the
Exactly.
beginning of a beautiful friendship. What was that? 10 years?
Yeah,
8 years?
almost
10
10
years
years. I
later?
think, yeah, like close to 8. Because I'm about to come on my 10-year anniversary of being in New York. And I
Oh, New
met my
York.
ex like a year and a half in. So yeah, we're
A
like
year and a half.
9,
That was.
8 years.
I
Crazy.
mean, I feel like the thing I love about and I have found with all of my very, very closest friends who aren't just friends, they're family, they're sisters, is that I love them so much and then I love their family as well. And I
Yeah.
feel like with you, it's been like your mom and dad are saved as mom and dad in my phone. The only people in the world that track my location because we all know there's some
Yeah.
stuff going on in there. My dot's like Dora the Explorer going around. Where is she?
Yes.
I shut it on, I shut it off. But with you guys, I leave it on 24/7.
Yes, always know where you are. And
You always
the best
know
thing
where I
is
am.
my mom is always watching the dots and like clockwork when we're together, she FaceTimes us.
Yeah. So it's perfect. But I love your family too, and I feel like your background, I they're like dream parents to me. Like I have this psycho version of me that's like I think that they should have kind of been my parents. Like I'm like
They
if I could
are.
pick two, if I could designing parents, I would design like your parents to me are just like so like
Well, you
lovely and
also
lucky.
have a very special bond with my mom, which I've told you this before, but she had a similar upbringing to you. And it's something like
Yeah.
gap that my parents have obviously given me a great life. And we've had our own issues and whatnot. I've talked about that on my podcast a little bit, but my parents are great parents. But there's there was always a disconnect between my mom and I because I couldn't relate to her on a certain level. because I
Yeah.
hadn't experienced what she had experienced. And not just that I couldn't relate to her, but there was things that she maybe didn't share with me because she didn't think I could relate. And there was that mother-daughter dynamic. And then when you came into our lives and we got a lot closer, and particularly got closer with my mom, it helped my relationship with my mom because I was able, I remember we were sitting at San Ambrose, and I won't say what we were talking about. We were getting pretty deep, and I was sitting there being like, wait, my mom is talking about things with you that I've never heard her talk about
Yeah.
relationship with her mom and whatnot. And it
Yeah.
was because she felt comfortable. And there was like lessons that she could give you that weren't relevant to me because we hadn't had that same life experience. And I look
Yeah.
at that as like I wouldn't have that I would have never had certain conversations with my mom probably ever if you weren't in our lives in that way.
Oh my God, I'm gonna cry. I don't even know what to say after that. That's so, I didn't know
It's so
that.
true.
Bunny,
And then the
bunny.
fun stuff is that like we get to hang out with my mom, and we have our group text, and she's so petty and we love it.
Yeah.
Because we tell her all the gossip. She's a federal judge, so she's like, no one ever tells me any gossip because they think I'm gonna tattle on them.
Yes. So the beauty, so Richie's father is a very successful, incredible, self-made,
Yeah.
self-made from 0 to 150. He's like the Barack Obama of the South. Looks like him, talks like
Oh,
him,
he
probably
walks
more
on
handsome
water, and I am no
he
shade
walks on
daddy's
water.
girl, but everyone loves my dad.
That
He is everyone's
everyone loves his
dad.
dad. He's an amazing, incredible man. And then her mother is just like you would think. I mean, she is a federal judge. If you're familiar with the U.S. judicial system, like one stroke of the
Appointed by
pen,
Obama.
appointed by Obama, and I mean, it's so much not power. That's like the wrong word, but like but kind
But she
of. But
demands
she's a
power. She
very
demands respect. It's funny how we get to experience my mom as this like bubbly fun, and she's drinking rosé with us in the Hamptons. And then when we walk into her courtroom, everyone's like just
yeah.
bowing down to her almost
Yeah.
literally.
And she makes serious. I mean, she doesn't do light cases either. It's like very serious.
Yeah, I mean,
things.
she's putting away, murderers, drug dealers, and whatnot, and she's but a 5'2" on a good day.
Yeah. When she's not in designer heels
Yeah.
and carrying around
Yeah, I
two
mean,
small
she's always
dogs.
in a stiletto, but
Yeah. It's just wild. So the dynamic I feel like of your parents is incredible. And the more that I got to know, I have so much respect for you, and I have so much respect for all the decisions that you've made, the hard decisions, the difficult decisions. And I always like to think that I'd be in a different place if I had, your parents. And I see how I think you're such a not grown woman, but you're wise beyond your years. And I think so much of that has to do with because not just who raised you and how they raised you, but the example that they set for
because they're
you.
very
And
independent people
yeah,
and had to do a lot on their own. And that's something where my parents, like, now obviously they're very successful and they're in a position to help whenever they can, but we didn't grow up that way. I watched my parents build over the course of, my 32 years of life. They have this gorgeous house in the Hamptons, and I just, this only happened maybe like 2 years ago. And I remember sitting in the backyard with my dad, and he was showing me how his sound system, he's got these rocks that like are speakers. He's like so excited about it. And he looks around, he was like, I can't fucking believe this. And he had said it under his breath to himself.
yeah,
And it was this moment of
yeah,
him being like, I can't even believe I'm sitting here that this is my house, like
yeah.
it being able to see people really appreciate something and really work hard for it. That's something they've always instilled in me. My parents have made me work since I was maybe like 14. And I said this on my Instagram maybe a couple months ago, and I thought it was so funny because I thought maybe everyone's parents did this, maybe whatever. But I always used to say, oh, my first job was when I was like 12, and I used to go into the office and I would shred papers. I worked at the legal office. I found out very recently that that was not a real job, that my dad
Oh
was
no.
paying me. I was
Oh,
making
you only
like
recently
$5
found that
an hour,
out?
and he would
Yeah,
have me
honey.
come to his office, and I would have to like file and shred papers. But I
You only learned about child labor laws like last year.
they were like, you got to work, like, and when I got to an age where they could, they could help me in certain ways, it's never been, they've never made it easy, but I'm glad that they didn't make it easy. I wouldn't be
Yeah.
the person I am or a hard worker. I mean, when I started my first business and I wanted to to have my dad invest. And it wasn't an incredible amount of money. It was just more than I had. I needed, and he shortchanged me by, I think I asked him for like $20,000. That's how much we need. And yes, that's a lot of money. To start a business though, it's a little different. And then
business.
To start a business, what I was trying to do was I started with my ex-husband. We were just dating at the time, and I really wanted to be 50-50 with him. I was putting in more of the sweat equity, let's be real, but financially I wanted to be 50-50 so that, we weren't married at the time. I wanted some security, and I knew I couldn't financially afford to bridge that gap. So I essentially was asking my dad for a loan. I asked for 20. When I asked for it, I had to do a full presentation. Like I was like going to the sharks, and at the end, he still shortchanged me $5,000. He said, you got to make the other $5,000 on your own. I think you can do it. And I figured it out. And maybe 8 months later, I was able to cut him a check to pay him back.
Nice. Hey, Dad. I mean, sharks. Hey, Daddy Shark. You start going into improv, right? Baby Shark. No, but I love your parents' work ethic. The one other thing that I love about you and your family is that, again, it's like it seems so picture perfect. I remember last year in the Hamptons when you threw the massive charity event, the Hamptons gay charity event gala of the year. Yes. And someone whispered to me like, oh my God, they're like the first family, and it's so amazing. And in my mind, I'm thinking, yes, I see it too. But I know a real scoop, which your mom and dad are always, I hope they're writing their memoirs and tell us.
My mom is writing a book right now.
Good, because their story is incredible too. You look at them and you see this like perfect couple married for so long, but when you talk to them, they're like, it wasn't always perfect, and it wasn't just about money and making their own money. It was
they got divorced and then they remarried each other.
Sometimes I'm worried about this story getting out because I feel like, when you're supposed to say like you're the exception, not the rule.
Oh, they were
the exception. The fact if you are married, you have kids, get a divorce, and then like a year later remarry, and then literally live so happily ever after, where these two people are so in love.
What's funny is they didn't. My mom she still instills this stuff. She says I put my dad on a pedestal, but you got to remember that he wasn't always like this. Like I trained him to be this.
Oh yeah.
They got back together maybe like 2 years after they got divorced, but they didn't get remarried until maybe I was like 13. It was like 8 or so years later, because my mom wanted to be sure.
Yeah, good. But so how do you think that's an incredible story, and then seeing them, and I feel like having a witness, an example, or having an example of this is how relationships work, and this is seeing two people and overcome the highs and the lows and all that sort of things. How do you think that has shaped your relationship? Because as you mentioned, how we met on our hoe trip, you were married and then had a beautiful Vogue wedding.
My wedding
fairy tale.
I always say marry the wrong guy but have the right wedding.
Oh, okay. There you go. And you had the right wedding, honey.
I heard it. Now my dad says, just tell people it was my 60th birthday party.
Yeah, I mean, it's a couple hundred people, couple mil, it is what it is. But you had a beautiful, beautiful wedding. And then, you made the very, very challenging decision to separate.
Yes.
Sometimes I still don't know how to talk about it.
Not even a year after my wedding.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think, in terms of my parents, I think they always taught me that relationships take work. That's what I learned from them. But I think whenever you're like learning some lessons in life, it wasn't like my parents sat me down and told me this lesson, right? I had to learn it through experience. And I think there's bad things that came out of it and good things. I think I've definitely stayed longer in relationships or fought harder in certain things because I've been taught you just don't give up. You just figure it out,
Yeah.
But they also taught me how to get through the hard stuff. And that has been so valuable to me. And it teaches you that people aren't perfect. And that, sometimes my mom calls it the tax. Like not everyone's perfect. So like, what is the tax you have to pay to have someone in your life? That's with friends and relationships. And when I was younger, before I learned this lesson through going through it myself, I think I would have accepted I did accept a much higher tax. And through this relationship, I realized, wait, the tax is too high. This isn't what I want. And lesson wise, my dad gave me this advice about business, but he would say like, if you fail fast, like fail fast and move on. And
Yeah.
I realized after, really, let's be real, I realized before my wedding that I had failed in choosing a long-term partner. And at first I was so focused on what everyone else thought.
Yeah.
And that's why I had the wedding. It was this big snowball that I couldn't fix. And I was worried about disappointing my parents. And I mean, of course you get engaged and then immediately everybody knows. And I got engaged 2 months before COVID hit.
Right, right.
So 2 months go by, then it's all anybody has to do and focus on is the wedding and talking about it and
Planning a
asking
wedding.
about it.
Yeah. And
And
looking
we had a
forward to
travel
it.
business. We weren't working. So it was just, I just realized I failed. And I remember after I left, though, having a conversation with you, and because you were one of the first people to be on my doorstep, literally, literally on my doorstep. And you were just like, no one cares. No one's going to
Oh
care.
yeah, that's
Talk about it for a minute and they're going to move on. And I'm like, I
that's
literally going
yeah.
to live my life this way.
But that's the case. I wish I should have followed that my own advice the past year and a half. But like, but my brother gave me that advice when I was going back and forth about one of the engagements. I think it was the one with Gideon, where I was just like, yeah, because Gideon I'd put on social media. Gideon I had sent out an email to the bridesmaids and had a bridal appointment and was looking at venues, and like I really went like those next steps of like proper wedding planning. And when you get in it, it's exciting, and then everyone around you is also excited, so you can very much get caught up, right? And it's easy to
And everyone's
quiet
trying
all
to, when
the
you do start to be like, oh, I'm not sure. They're like, oh, that's just nerves. That's just nerves. Everybody
yeah,
feels
yeah.
that way.
You're like, oh, it's just nerves or whatnot. But I remember in wanting to call it off, knowing in my gut. And I did the things like I stopped wearing the ring. Then we signed up for couples therapy. I did a Carrie Bradshaw. I wore it on a necklace,
Yeah.
like all this sort of stuff.
It's funny how
But
we all
then,
do the same steps.
yeah. And then I'm like, we all have to stop watching
You're
Sex and the
like
City
playing around with the
violates.
idea of not having the ring on anymore.
Yeah, yeah. And then it was like, it was too big. Everyone's like, what do you mean it's too big? I was like, it's too
Yeah.
big. I don't know. And then he got me a different, like a gold band from Cartier. I started wearing a band instead of the diamond. It was just weird. But, 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 my brother told me, like, Brynn, like, no, I remember he specifically told me, like, he listened to me and listened to me and listened. He was like, I'm going to be honest with you. Like, this was way before obviously show or anything like that. He's like, nobody cares. Like, he told me, he goes, you're not Kim Kardashian. Like,
Yeah.
nobody cares. And maybe people be like, oh, look, it's over. But then people have their own stuff going on, and they have 99 problems.
And the people
so
who
you might,
do care for even a moment and have something to say are the people whose like opinions you don't really care about. Like the
who
people who have
you
had the
don't,
most negative reactions to my divorce, or, when I say negative reactions, usually it's them assuming something happened that didn't, and, placing a storyline on my life
are
that
people
doesn't exist.
nosy? Do they get like, do they start like asking,
Oh,
like,
yeah.
what's the most annoying thing that people ask someone who's just got a divorce?
Oh, I think, I mean, one, I think in general is just the assumption that like there was cheating, and
Yeah.
like what other reason could there have been? And not to say I would stay with someone who cheated, but I'm like, there are worse things to do to a person than in a marriage than cheating. You're living your life with someone. Like
Right.
there are other things that are more important. It's really just assuming something like in general, but also assuming something shallow. I think
Yeah.
that was like the biggest thing that irked me was people assuming that like one of us must have cheated, and also after the fact the money situation, which money is such a dirty word to so many people, but if you work hard you're making money. And it bothered me that a lot of the assumption was that I either married my ex-husband for money, or that I was part of why I got divorced was because he couldn't afford to do something for me. Or I had a few people be like, oh, it's so nice that he's letting you live in that house. This is my fucking house. I bought this
What is
house.
I have this theory. I'm like, I won't say the names, but like, I'm like, what is up with people like not being able to accept the fact that a woman in her 30s, especially a minority woman,
Have money.
they're like shocked that you can pay your bills. They're like,
Shocked.
oh, wait, you can pay your bills? Well, she
There
must be
must
doing
be
this, or
some
there must
man.
be
There
a
must be some
man.
man helping you.
There's
It's like,
somebody funding it. God forbid
yeah,
a minority woman in her 30s can pay her
yes.
bills.
My parents are successful. My ex-husband was successful, but I'm also successful.
You're successful. You have a business degree. You've started multiple businesses. You're a real estate
Yeah, I'm
agent.
smart
Like,
with money. I also surround myself with a lot of other people who are smart with money. And I know that life isn't fair, right? Like I have access to certain things. I have access to people who are great at business and I can learn from them, you know,
Yeah.
and I'm also smart and I'm also a hard worker. And the jump is so crazy to me
Yeah.
that people can't understand it, or that that you even have to explain it. Why is the assumption that a man did something?
Right. Yeah. Yeah,
I'm
they
like,
can't.
let's
And
be
then it's
clear. When I got divorced, I had to pay my ex. Okay. He got a check. I did not get a check. Okay.
I didn't say it. I didn't say it. I didn't say it. I didn't say it. Now that you are on the other side
Yes.
of all of this, for the
Three and a
most
half
part,
years
right?
later. Yeah.
Yes. But what advice would you give to someone who has to make a similar hard decision? It doesn't have to be about a marriage, doesn't have to be even about a relationship. Like, I think you're kind of touching on it earlier a little bit about, like,
Yeah.
your dad gave you advice about if you're gonna
Just rip the Band-Aid off. My
rip the
advice,
Band-Aid off.
when you have to do something hard, rip the Band-Aid off. Just do it quickly, because when you're dragging it out, you think you're maybe like saving someone else's feelings or doing whatever. You're just making it harder for everybody else. And
Yeah.
like, once you make that decision, of course, be sure. And especially with a relationship and a marriage, you have to be sure. But you know, if you're sure. Like, I knew
Right.
before, that's the first question people ask. They want to, because they want to know if they're in the same boat. They're like, oh, how did you know? When did you know? I'm like, I knew before. I made a
Yeah.
bad decision for other people, but once I realized I did, I ripped the Band-Aid off. You saw how quickly it happened. Once I left, when I made that decision, same day, all
Yeah.
my stuff was out. And when people would ask, oh, would you go back? I did not return to that watering hole, not once.
No, you didn't. There was no going back and forth. There
I
was
knew
no
I had
should
to move
I.
forward.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
therapy. That's my other piece of advice. The first thing I did was I said, I'm finding a therapist. I'm going twice a week for a year, which I know is a lot of therapy, but I've seen so many people be in a similar situation and it take them a really long time to heal. And I felt like, I was with this man for the majority, almost all of my 20s. I didn't want
Yeah.
to waste any more time, and I wanted to be able to heal and take the next steps to be happy. I was miserable for a few years there and hiding it. I was like, I don't want to waste any more time not being happy, because that's
Yeah.
really what it is. Like, it's just trying to make sure you're happy. And that no one, that again, the advice that no one cares, but and leaning on your girlfriend.
Nobody cares, dude. Yeah. Lean on
Lean
your
on
girlfriends.
lean on your
Nobody cares.
girlfriends
Rip off the
100%.
Band-Aid. Okay, so what is it like? I always talk about, oh my God, being single, or I've been engaged and and I'm single and dating. What's it like being a early 30s
Divorcée.
divorcee
I love
dating
it.
in New York? Because one look at your Instagram and it looks like you're having a lot of fun.
I'm having so much fun. Honestly, I am having fun. And look, with anything in life, there's pros and cons, right? Like, I do want to have a partner and settle down and do all the stuff, but our life expectancy is a lot longer than it used to be. 32 is young. I'm not in a rush whatsoever. Especially, I always say, like, date like a divorcee, because I am way more afraid of being in a relationship that's wrong than I am of being alone. And that's not to say I'm not
I
afraid of
love
being alone. I'm
that.
a normal person. No one
Yeah,
wants to
yeah.
be alone, but I'm enjoying it. And also, there's way more people that have like been divorced or called off an engagement. I just have to say, because I knew about your engagements, but when I started to get past the divorcing and I was able to talk about it more freely, a lot of
Yeah.
women have called off engagements. And I know a lot of women who are divorced at 30. It's Dr.
Yes.
Emily Ratajkowski.
Yeah, I mean, she's trying. M. Rad, we love. She's setting the trend.
But the timing, she got divorced right around the same time that I got separated. And I was like, okay, she's making it cheap. And
Twins.
honestly, I thought dating would be harder. I thought men would care that I was divorced, and none of them have.
I
They
think
ask if
that's
you're getting back together with your ex, and I'm like, oh no, we don't have kids. We share a
yeah,
dog, but
yeah.
it's great that we share a dog, because if I want to like run off with a guy on a trip, my ex-husband takes care of my dog.
And Puck's going with
He's
his
going with his
dad.
first daddy. We're
Right.
looking for we're looking for a stepdad.
We're looking for stepdad.
But it's
So
been fun.
how is single dating? I know we're not going to name names, but
I
Jesus
have
Christ,
a
could I
healthy
name some names?
roster. Um,
What? Let's talk about your roster. Let's play the bleep game.
let's play. We cannot use
Can you
names.
just fire out? Okay,
Yeah.
we'll bleep it. I'll just name a category and you name a dude who you've dated. Okay, ready? Professional basketball player.
Oh,
Bleep.
more. Wait, you have to bleep these.
We'll bleep it. We'll bleep it. Can I also just say, without naming who she just named,
Yeah.
that I got put on the Big Tron or whatever it's called at a Knicks game. And so
To be
then
clear,
Richie.
it's not a Knicks player. Everyone thinks I'm dating a Knicks
No,
player.
no, no, no,
It's not
no,
the
no,
game.
no,
It's not a
no, no.
Knicks
It's not a Knicks.
player.
It's not a Knicks player.
And I can
However,
afford Knicks tickets. Okay, but anyway.
you can afford your own Knicks tickets. But we were at a Knicks game, and I get on the Tron thing or whatever. I don't know, the background, not actually like legitimately. But Richie sees me, so she FaceTime me. She's like, "Oh my God, girl, you're at the game." I'm like, "Yeah, where are you?" I'm on one side, she's over on the other. Then I noticed throughout the game, every time that the opposite team, not the Knicks, the other team they're playing, we won't name the team, a certain someone is shooting free throws. When he goes to shoot free throws, Richie, who's in the second row or like first row, basically almost courtside, is standing looking hot as hell, heckling the player as he's shooting baskets.
I love a heckle. I love to heckle a man. I think we should bring back booing men in public outside.
But then I remember back to St. Bart's a few months ago, and I was like, wait, that's the guy we were FaceTiming for like 3 hours from the pool. And I was like, that's the dude she dated. Fast forward, she's now heckling this man at his own basketball game.
We were in St. Bart,
Go Knicks,
drunk,
go
and we
Knicks.
FaceTimed every
Knicks,
man
thank
we've
you.
ever dated, made out with, had a fling
Yes,
with.
Knicks and 6. Thank you so
Yes.
much for that. Thank
Look,
you. You're
we're
doing
big
your
Knicks
part.
fans.
Huge
And
Knicks fans.
Look, when I'm a real fan. I love sports. I grew up on sports, especially basketball. I've always enjoyed a heckle. And
Yeah.
I support my team in the ways that I need to. And once a man is in the past, he's in the past. No,
What
we're
did that
moving
man
on.
do so that you went and heckled him at his job? Because technically playing professional basketball as a point guard for a very good team is a job that he gets paid a lot of money to do.
The thing is, first of all, he gets heckled all the time. Okay. So he should be able
Not
to
by his ex behind the free throw line in a crop top with her abs out and like
I
yelling,
looked
"This
exactly
man
how
ain't
I
shit."
wanted to look if I was seeing someone I used to date. And to
You
be
did look
honest,
hot.
this man did nothing to me. He was actually
He was nice.
he was so nice.
Sweet.
It just like it fizzled out. He lives in a different city, like actively playing. And I like a full court press. Okay. I like attention all the time. So
Yes.
if you can't give me attention all the time, I'm gonna forget and I'm gonna move on. But also
Mhm.
I love a good heckle. And wait, you know this part. One, I was invited. Let me say, I shouldn't say his name. I was invited to the game by
Yes.
a prominent person within the basketball sphere who knew that I had previously dated this player, and I was asked to attend and heckle. I was doing what I was
the plot
asked to do.
thickens.
The plot
So you are a heckler for billionaire hire. Okay.
I do what I can to support my team. And
You
look,
gotta
we're
support
in the playoffs, so I did something right. And we were talking about my mom earlier. When that team played the Pelicans in New Orleans, that's where
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
from. My mom heckled him too. And I didn't ask her to do that. She did that fully on her own.
Mom,
And
like
at
mother,
first
like
my dad's
daughter.
like, what are you doing? And she's like, well, he ghosted our daughter. We have to say something. And then my dad's like, yeah, go after him.
I'm pretty
I'm
sure he didn't
he
ghost
never
you.
met
I
my
think
parents. He had no idea what was going on. But then I did the courtesy thing the day of the game when they played the Knicks. I did text him and say, hey, I'm going to be heckling you tonight. And by the way, that was my mom. I haven't heard from him since, but
Okay. Okay. Well, I think we know where that one stands.
yeah.
But
I mean, in
you know,
terms of dating, I think if a man is, I'm not worried about hurting their feelings. I'm really not.
I think that's good. I think that's good.
I'm
I think
not.
that's no.
Especially now, I'm like, everything's like once again, after being married, it's not that serious. None of it is that
No.
serious.
It's
So
not that serious.
that's in the
It's
NBA
it's
box.
really not that serious at a Knicks
And I
game.
didn't even date for that long. I mean, we went on like a few dates, had a couple of like, makeouts in a tunnel, and like it's fun.
Okay, I love it. I really love it. That's the funniest thing I've heard in so long. That's like my favorite now, my core memory. I have recordings and video recordings of you doing this. It's genius. And it's inspirational as well. Women should stand outside Goldman Sachs and
I'm saying I
hospitals,
think we
and
should heckle men in real life.
if you can do it at Madison Square Garden, you can do it anywhere. Heckle,
Literally.
ladies.
Actually, I just had this guy text me the other day, or he was like sliding into my DM saying some crazy, I should not tell his story.
Please tell it.
Okay, he's also from we won't say his name, or any identifying factors, but this is someone who should be concerned about someone screenshotting something, which I didn't, but
Okay.
like, you should basically, oh my God, he's gonna watch this. This is someone who DM'd me and going from like fire emoji reactions to, this is someone I dated like right after my divorce. So like, it was a fling, it was nothing serious.
I know who this is.
They always like come back around and like fire emoji. He goes from a couple fire emojis and me hearting it to, do you want to peg me? And I'm like,
oh my God.
Diabolical. What is going on? I leave him on red. I'm like, this is wild. I send out a voice note to a couple of my friends being like, isn't this crazy? I'm like, this guy's going to wake up tomorrow and be so embarrassed, because he sent this message at like 2 a.m. And I'm like, he's going to be embarrassed by this. Next morning, absolutely not. You know what he does?
He doubled
Reminds
down?
me of something I did years ago, which my friend Kat was like, oh my gosh, we have to start doing this like sleeper cell type behavior. He said it was right after my divorce. It was a fling. He had some toxic behavior. I went on Etsy, my favorite app, shout out Etsy. And I bought him a trophy for being toxic. And it said Toxic King, his full name. I had it like custom made, and I sent it to his house without any context. I didn't say it was from me or anything. And it was like a couple weeks that went by with him not knowing who sent it. And eventually he figured it out. And then I didn't respond to that like pegging message. The next day he sends me a picture of his trophy. He still has it.
Thank God. I thought you were going to say something else.
No, not anything else. And I replied being like, see, that's why you earned the trophy. The fact that he still has this trophy, this was like 3 years ago, and is still thinking about it. And I'm like, yeah, he deserves that trophy. So we need to heckle men in public and give them trophies for being terrible people.
For being toxic. Call them. Yeah. Award them for their toxic behavior.
Yeah.
But not
it's not even awarding them. It's really memorializing it,
Yes. Never forget.
Yeah. I'll send you the Etsy link, because they have lots of different options. There's a dickosaurus. When someone's being a dick, you can just like send them a trophy that they
I want to send a dickosaurus. Thankfully,
like
I've never asked
on a T-Rex body.
Thankfully, I've never been asked for someone to get pegged.
That was my first time as well. And like I said, I would think that'd be something you would have to like work up to asking someone to do.
Yeah. I think going on Etsy and ordering a trophy, you handled it pretty well. I feel like that seems right. Like I love that was your first instinct. I'm obsessed with that.
Well, sometimes there's craziness. You can't do anything but laugh at it. Like, especially dating in New York, you're gonna date some amazing guys. I reject the idea that dating in New York is bad.
Me too. I love it. It's great.
So much fun. And like,
it's
when you
fun.
get a story like this, it's fun.
Yeah. Knicks games and pegging. Welcome to New York. I mean, it's like, yeah, I love it. So I want to play a little friendship game where I wish we were in person to do this, but that's okay. It might be funnier, the fact that we're on Zoom, where we both have to close our eyes and we have to point, because we are so much like sisters.
Yeah.
We have to point who, like.
I point like this way versus this way. Okay.
Yeah. Well, I have a rule. Please see below, which is about like what's down there. Which is, I like to give Spotify like one small thing to have a heart attack with on every episode, Just like always, just pushing the boundaries.
Who's more likely to drunk text their ex at 2 a.m.?
It's like my favorite thing to do, by the way. Like if I have a couple,
we'll do it together.
I'm sending it to all of them, like all of them, DMs, and also I think I'm being like.
FaceTime.
Oh yeah, I like FaceTiming that. I think I'm being very clever. It's like I love it.
It's a lot of your exes, and I'm not on bad terms with mine. I just like I usually block them, or There's like a couple that I like will return to, but I'm not texting them at 2 a.m. Not to like.
I love texting to it. I think sometimes I get drunk just so I can drunk text them. I love drunk texting. It's my favorite thing. And I wake up in the morning and I like double down. I love it. Yeah. Okay, let's go next one.
Who's more likely to start an OnlyFans for artistic purposes?
Bitch, get out of here. Oh, no, I'm not artistic purposes.
Well, I guess
I would do it.
artistic is me, but I wouldn't. I don't know.
I am not an artiste.
Artiste. Yeah, you know
You're
what?
more of an artist.
My nudes are like Vogue level. I would, yeah.
Honey, okay, this girl over here on our group chat with our girlfriends, all of a sudden I'll be like in a meeting or something, and it's just new. She shares her nude. Richie has started our friend group. Let's share nudes with each other. Like, not nudes to send dudes.
You guys
just,
respond way better than like most
tasteful nudes. She shares tasteful nudes with her friends just because it's like, happy Thursday, sweetheart. Miss you. See you tonight at dinner.
Well,
Here's a nude.
You're doing. You helped me get these boobs. Okay.
We have the same. I referred her to my boob doctor. He's the best. Yes. Shout out Dr.
So
Copeland.
our boobs are sisters as well. And
they're sisters.
I mean, for the first year, anybody would FaceTime me and I'd rip my shirt off. I wanted everybody to see them. But like, I'm a titty girl. I'm not a full frontal, but like, I don't think there's a bathroom in New York City I haven't taken a nude in.
Literally. Or Paris or London or anywhere else. It's nudes. And you're sending them to the girls, so that's fine.
Yeah.
Nudes
there's
for
this not even taught me this because I knew before you told me this while I was like married, so it wasn't relevant at the time. But as much as like dick talk and sex talk and whatever both of us do, like there's not a lot of sex happening. Like,
no, I'm all talk. I literally never get laid
all day. I'll make out with
I'll make out with a tree. Like, I don't care. Yeah. I make out with dogs, trees,
I'll
whatever.
make out with anybody. I don't show anybody my boobs.
I don't do anything
always off. I'm never wearing clothes anyway. I put on clothes for you today, but if you've noticed, I keep being like, I wanted a little.
Yeah. You know? I wear this to the office. I literally don't even have clothes on really today, but I'm like always a grandma covered up.
Our boobs were expensive. Dr. Lawrence Copeland is not cheap. I didn't spend all this money to keep them hidden, and my girlfriends, they respond better. You guys have
paid for them. You play with them.
The tastefulness and like, you know, I say the lighting in my living room. You've taken nudes in here. I will invite friends over and be like, you need this morning light nude. Get it.
Girl, you need to take nudes. Come over to my house. Nude party. That's what we're doing.
Stock up.
Right? Okay, let's do another one. One more.
Okay. Who's more likely to hook up with someone and then forget their name?
Yeah. I was only going to say me because I kind of have a bad short-term memory.
I was going to say, I smoke a lot of weed. So
yeah. She smokes a lot of weed, so she can't remember shit. Okay, one more really quick.
Out with them, and I don't know I don't know half the people I made out with.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't either.
Who's more likely to make out with someone just because they're tall?
Oh, both of us.
Both. Twins. Give me a tall boy. I mean, if you're actually tall, not just standing on your money, that's huge for us.
I'm in a short king era right now. So like he doesn't have to be tall. I'm over tall boys right now.
Yeah, but they can all stand on their money. They're like 7 foot with their wallets, so I don't know. The men you date are kind of
confident short king. Why he's confident? That's none of my business, you know.
I wonder why he's confident. I love it. Well, I think you're worth it. I think we're worth every penny, and I adore you, and I love you, and I can't wait to see you when I'm back in New York.
I know I might end up in London though before you come back.
Knowing you're gonna end up in London, so you'll end up here alongside me. But thank you for coming on the pod, my love.
To do it again. I love gossiping with you. There's like never enough time. We could keep going. You want me to tell more pegging stories? No, I only have the one.